Have you ever wondered what it's like to be not just rich, but unimaginably rich? We're talking about a level of wealth that could make today's billionaires look like they're just getting by. That was the reality for John D. Rockefeller, the richest man in modern history. At his peak, he controlled nearly 90% of America's oil, and in the process, he didn't just build an empire, he reshaped the very foundations of capitalism. This is the story of how a boy from a modest background built a system of power so vast, its influence still echoes through our world today. John Davison Rockefeller was born in 1839 in rural New York. His childhood was anything but luxurious. His family lived a simple life where money was always tight and stability was a rare commodity. Rockefeller's father was a traveling salesman, a charming but often absent and unreliable figure. It was his mother, a devout Baptist, who instilled in him the core principles that would define his life: discipline, faith, and the profound value of saving every single cent. This wasn't just a casual lesson. From a very young age, Rockefeller developed an almost obsessive habit. He kept a small ledger, meticulously recording every penny he earned and every penny he spent. This early fascination with numbers was the first glimpse into the mind of a future tycoon. At just 16 years old, Rockefeller landed his first real job as an assistant bookkeeper in Cleveland, Ohio. He threw himself into the work, arriving before dawn and leaving long after everyone else had gone home. He wasn't just crunching numbers, he was studying them, deciphering the language of business, learning how money flowed, and most importantly, how companies truly operated. It was here, surrounded by ledgers and invoices, that he uncovered a powerful, fundamental truth: businesses that controlled their costs survived, and those that didn't failed. It was a simple observation, but one that would become the cornerstone of his entire empire. Then, in 1859, something happened that would change America forever. Oil was discovered in Pennsylvania. The discovery triggered a massive rush. Boomtown sprang up overnight. Speculators and wildcatters flooded the region, hoping to strike it rich. Most people saw only chaos, risk, and a frantic gamble. But where others saw chaos, John D. Rockefeller saw an opportunity for order. He had a unique insight. He believed the real money in oil wasn't in the risky business of drilling for it, but in the stable, predictable business of refining it. While others were digging holes in the ground, Rockefeller was building a plan. He partnered with a chemist, with his own savings and a loan, founded a small refinery that would eventually grow into the colossal Standard Oil Company. From the very beginning, Rockefeller's strategy was laser-focused on one thing: efficiency. He was obsessed with it. He believed every drop of oil, every bit of material, and every cent spent should be optimized. He pioneered methods to use the byproducts of refining, turning what others considered waste into valuable products like paraffin wax, petroleum jelly, and tar. He relentlessly negotiated with railroads for lower transportation costs, leveraging his high volume to get secret rebates that his competitors couldn't match. He reinvested almost all his profits back into the business, constantly expanding and upgrading his facilities. While others gambled on finding the next big oil strike, Rockefeller calculated. He built his business on a foundation of ruthless efficiency and cold, hard numbers. Standard Oil grew at a staggering pace, faster than anyone could have imagined. But for Rockefeller, growth wasn't enough. He wanted more. He wanted total control. His vision was to consolidate the entire chaotic oil industry under one disciplined, efficient organization. This began what became known as the Cleveland Massacre. Rockefeller presented his competitors with a stark choice: sell your company to Standard Oil, or be crushed. He undercut their prices, choked off their supply lines, and used his secret railroad deals to make it impossible for them to compete. One by one, rival refineries sold out or went bankrupt. He used exclusive contracts and relentless pressure to bring the entire industry to its knees. By the 1880s, Rockefeller's vision had become a reality. Standard Oil wasn't just a company. It was a trust, a behemoth that dominated the American landscape. Oil was the lifeblood of the nation, powering the lamps in every home, the machines in every factory, and the engines of transportation. And John D. Rockefeller, a quiet bookkeeper from Cleveland, controlled it all. His methods, however, drew intense criticism. Critics and journalists called him ruthless, a monopolist who crushed competition and manipulated markets for his own gain. The famous investigative journalist Ida Tarbell, whose own father's oil business had been ruined by Standard Oil, exposed his aggressive tactics to a shocked public. They labeled him a robber baron, the ultimate symbol of unchecked corporate greed. But Rockefeller saw things differently. In his own mind, he wasn't a villain. He believed he was bringing order to a chaotic and wasteful industry. By consolidating production and distribution, he argued Standard Oil was able to dramatically lower the price of kerosene, making light affordable for the average American family for the first time. He created a stable supply and predictable markets in an industry once defined by wild price swings. To him, he was a force for progress and stability, not a destructive monopolist. He famously said, "The American beauty rose can be produced in the splendor and fragrance which bring cheer to its beholder only by sacrificing the early buds which grow up round it." For Rockefeller, his smaller competitors were those early buds, sacrificed for the greater good of a perfect, efficient industry. The public outcry and political pressure against Standard Oil grew too loud to ignore. The USDOVRNMENT finally stepped in, armed with the new Sherman Antitrust Act. After years of legal battles, the case reached the highest court in the land. In 1911, the Supreme Court delivered its landmark verdict. Standard Oil was an illegal monopoly that violated federal antitrust laws. The court ordered the massive company to be broken up into 34 separate, independent businesses. It was a decision that was supposed to destroy Rockefeller's empire and end his reign over the oil industry. But here's the incredible twist. The breakup of Standard Oil, the very act designed to cripple him, ended up making John D. Rockefeller even richer. In fact, it catapulted his wealth into the stratosphere. As the owner of a significant portion of the original company, he now held substantial shares in all 34 of the new, smaller companies. Once freed from the control of the parent company, the stock values of these individual businesses skyrocketed. Think of the names: Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco, Conoco. All of them were born from the breakup of Standard Oil. Rockefeller's personal fortune soared, making him the world's first-ever billionaire. His wealth, when adjusted for inflation, surpassed that of any billionaire alive today, including Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or Bill Gates. It was the ultimate irony. The government's attempt to break his power only multiplied his fortune. As he entered the later stages of his life, this immense wealth seemed to change Rockefeller. The ruthless businessman began to evolve into one of the greatest philanthropists in history. Guided by his faith and a belief that his fortune was a responsibility entrusted to him by God, he embarked on a mission to give it all away. But he approached philanthropy with the same methodical, data-driven efficiency that he used to build his business. He didn't just write checks. He created systems to solve humanity's biggest problems. He established the Rockefeller Foundation, which funded pioneering medical research that helped eradicate diseases like hookworm and yellow fever. He poured money into universities, creating world-class institutions like the University of Chicago and Rockefeller University. His funding modernized science, transformed education, and saved countless lives round the globe. By the time he passed away in 1937 at the age of 97, John D. Rockefeller had managed to give away more than half of his colossal fortune, an amount totaling over $500 million at the time. His legacy is complex and full of contradictions. Was he a ruthless robber baron who destroyed his rivals, or a visionary captain of industry who brought order and progress? Was he a greedy monopolist or a generous philanthropist who changed the world for the better? The truth is, he was all of these things. John D. Rockefeller didn't just build a company, he built a system. A system of scale, efficiency, and dominance that became the blueprint for the modern corporation. He defined the rules of corporate power in the 20th century, and whether we see him as a hero or a villain, his influence continues to shape the global economy and the very structure of capitalism to this day. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of history's most influential figures. See you in the next video.